small part of my favourite book, The Iron Man. Hogarth's father jumped into his car and drove off into the night and the rain as fast as he could, homeward. The rain poured down. Hogarth's father drove hard. The headlights lit up the road and bushes. Suddenly, 2 headlamps in a tall treetop at the roadside ahead. Headlamps in a treetop? How? Hogarth's father slowed, peering up to see what the lights might be up there in the treetop. As he slowed, a giant iron foot came down in the middle of the road, a foot as big as a single bed, and the headlamps came down closer, and a giant hand reached towards the windshield. Not Mr. Pachowski, not Mr. Thatcher.
Mr. Goss.
My favourite book is The Runaway Pea. It's 6 o'clock and we're ready for tea, but look, what's that? It's a runaway pea. He pinged off the plate with incredible force and went splat in a puddle of sauce. The carrots and beans were all laughing with glee. You didn't get far, you piddly pea. Just watch, said the pea, I've hardly begun. I might only be small, but I want to have fun. The pea shot away with a slip and a slop, and then into the dog bowl he fell with a plop. Climb, little pea, climb up the side, quick before Boris's mouth opens wide. The runaway pea jumped amazingly high and so nearly landed in Boris's eye. He rolled along Boris's back in a flash, but a flick of the tail went flying off, splash! Where am I? He wonders, his head really hurt. Get out of my tank, said Adele with a squirt. He fell on a mousetrap which snapped and went bang and bounced off the cobweb and stretched and went twang. It was me, Mrs. Bronger.
I'd like to share with you my favourite book by my favourite author. It's called Kenzuki's Kingdom by Michael Morpurgo, and I'm going to read the opening page to you. I disappeared on the night before my 12th birthday, July 28th, 1988. Only now can I at last tell the whole extraordinary story, the true story. Kenzuki made me promise that I would say nothing at all, until at least 10 years had passed. It was almost the last thing he said to me. I promised, and because of that, I've had to live out a lie. I could let sleeping lies sleep on, but more than 10 years have passed now. I have done school, done college, and I've had time to think. I owe it to my family and to my friends, all of whom I have deceived for so long, to tell the truth about my long disappearance, about how I lived to come back from the dead. But there is another reason for speaking out now, a far, far better reason. Kenzuki was a great man, a good man, and he was my friend. I want the world to know him as I knew him.
That's right, it was Mr. Evans.
Good morning, boys and girls. I'm going to share with you one of my favourite books. Now, it's called The Mole Who Didn't Know His Business. Listen carefully. Are you ready? One day, the little mole
poked his head up from the underground to see whether the sun had already risen. Then it happened. It looked like a little sausage, and the worst thing was, it landed right on his head. "How mean!" cried the little mole. "Who has done this on my head?" But he was so short-sighted, he couldn't see anyone. "Did you do this on my head?" he asked a dove who was flying past.
Me? No, how could I? I do mine like this.
And splish-splosh, a moist white blob landed on the ground right next to the little mole. Oh, his leg was splashed with white.
Now, if you want to find out who did do the poo on the mole's head, you'll have to read the rest. Bye.
So, did you guess who was telling you a story about a mole with a poo on his head? That's right, it's me, Mr. Moore.
I'm going to read a short passage from my favourite book, which is Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. "The Dormouse is asleep again," said the Hatter, and he poured a little hot tea upon its nose. The Dormouse shook its head impatiently and said, without opening its eyes, of course, just what I was going to remark myself." "Have you guessed the riddle yet?" the Hatter said, turning to Alice again. "No, I give it up," Alice replied. "What's the answer?" "I haven't the slightest idea," said the Hatter. "Nor I," said the March Hare. Alice sighed wearily. "I think you might do something better with the time," she said, "than wasting it in asking riddles that have no answers." "If you knew time as well as I do," said the Hatter, "you wouldn't talk about wasting it. It's him." "I don't know what you mean," said Alice. "Of course you don't," the Hatter said, tossing his head. "I dare say you never even spoke to time." "Perhaps not," Alice cautiously replied, "but I know I have to beat time when I learn music."